Hi, we're standing in the gallery for the exhibition reflecting Selves, Asian American artists in Texas. Me as a second generation Asian American woman, more specifically to say I'm Chinese and Lao, I think that definitely encompasses more what my identity is. And I think Asian American itself is an interesting term that only came about in the 1960s. That came about because of civil rights movement. We were just named as the Chinese or Japanese or the Filipinos. Nothing wrong with that, but even though it sets us apart other minorities, it even creates conflicts within ourselves. I still remember my interview for my internship, and I remember saying to our director, Rich, I had this ambitious dream of saying, I want to do an exhibition about Asian American artists.
I was speaking with Philana one day, and we were talking about the way that Asian Americans have been perceived in the media, and we talked about wanting to try and create an art exhibition that was a good example of our local San Antonio, Austin, Houston Asian American artists and weren't pigeonholed by our preconceived notions and stereotypes that we tend to attribute to the Asian American community.
A lot of Asian tradition, really, it's a lot about kind of not drawing any attention. And so doing things like creating art that is very, draws attention to the self can be seen selfish, can be seen as you being very self-centered. What's amazing about each and every one of these artists is not just about like, I'm trying to draw attention to myself. What I'm trying to do is bring visibility. There are people who are queer. There are people who are transracial adoptees. There's people who are biracial. There's people who are refugees. But because of the model minority, we've been typecasted in a specific way of how we've been seen for decades.
We were trying to look for artists that really complemented each other. Early on, it quickly became focused on the idea of the self and the actual representation of people. So you'll notice that a lot of the art in here are portraits.
I think portraiture and photography work so well in this exhibition because it's coming from the lens of an Asian American. I think it's so important to get the perspective of, as a person who's Asian American or the person that they're trying to portray, that we're looking at you as a person. We're looking at someone who matters and someone who is not objectified, not seen as the other. There are 5 artists in the show. The first artist is Antonius Timboy. They are from Houston, Texas. They are Vietnamese. They're second generation Vietnamese Americans. We've included some of their pieces from their series, Not Sorry for the Trouble. Our next artist is Ben Aqua. They live in Austin, Texas. They're part Korean, and their series is called The Asians. Our next artist is Brandon Tho Harris. They are from Houston, Texas. They are a second generation Vietnamese American, and their series is called His Ao Dai. Our next artist is Jan Arcia. Their series is called A Team, and they are a San Antonio artist, and they're Filipino. And our final artist is Zoe Watts. They are transracial adoptee. They live in Austin, Texas, and their series is called the Reminder Series.
I'm hoping that people can look at the subjects that are discussed in this art and see something and can relate to it in some way.
In this show, we hope that it shows that we're not just how media has typecast us to be. However we identify, however we want to occupy space, we're allowed to because we belong here as well.
Reflecting Selves, Asian American artists in Texas.
On view June 9 to October 9.